Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week, and we're super excited today. We have Wren Morrow on with us. Wren's journey led her from the heart of purity culture in Tennessee to the wild rain-soaked forests of Washington. Her work as an outdoor boudoir and erotic adventure photographer is born from shedding shame and claiming embodied freedom. After navigating profound disconnection with traditional settings, Wren crafted an approach to photography that invites women into the kind of sensual reclamation they deserve. Her sessions in nature are about remembering worth, feeling safety, and celebrating the truth of our body. Wren's stories and insights on self-celebration, breaking free from inherited scripts, and healing through creativity we'll be discussing today. She knows what it means to live unboxed and radiant. So welcome, Wren. We're super excited to have you on the
Hi.
podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and I'm really excited about this because I love the fact that you are empowering women through the work that you do. So can you talk a little bit about what got you into this kind of work?
Yeah. Um, I think it was definitely a long and winding road. I started just really wanting to get in touch with my own body. I didn't actually start by being a photographer, but by spending a ton of time naked outdoors. And I had been, as you mentioned, I had grown up in Tennessee. I'd grown up to be very religious, even as far as like I had worked for the church. I was married to someone who worked for the church. And at a certain point, I just needed to step back from all of that, reassess what my relationship was to myself, to source. I had just so much compounded shame and self-doubt and I just needed to make choices for myself by myself without any sort of input. I think that religion does a really good job at um, marketing disempowerment as uh, being a good religious person. Like
Yeah.
like a good follower of Christ means that you are constantly in a state of following and like giving up your own sovereignty and like I just need to understand God's will for my life. Um so yeah, when I moved west, I just wanted to be outside. I wanted to be outdoorsy. I wanted to play and I ended up dating someone who had a van and convinced him to outfit the van so we could live in it. And then we were spending all this time outdoors. He was a musician and told me that I needed to have a thing. Noticed how I was obsessed with taking pictures with my phone all the time. So he bought me a camera the first Christmas we were together. And I just started taking pictures mostly for in restaurants because that's what I had been doing before that. I worked waiting tables. But then I just started to feel like, wow, this experience, like we really need to bring more people out here. Like more people need to come and play out in the woods. Barbara made it. And so yeah, it really just started as like I was playing and having so much fun and I just wanted other people to like come and play with me and go for a little frolic. And it didn't start with such an intention to be as therapeutic as I feel like it has revealed itself to be. It really was just about play and freedom. And then the more I did these sessions, the more I saw the transformation, the way people would unravel, the way people would feel themselves, feel their bodies, feel um, you know, powerful again and worthy and beautiful and feel seen, celebrated. And it started to just snowball from that.
That's amazing. And I think it's really cool because I think when people do especially, boudoir pictures and things like that. And then you're getting out into nature on top of it. It's just got to be so freeing for people. And so do you see that women as general, I'm assuming that you mostly take pictures of women, so do they really like, is it hard for them to get like kind of shed that shame and that insecurities to be able to take these pictures?
I think it really depends on the woman. I think that there is like the wide spectrum of people who will want to work with me. And I think that um, those who have already been doing a lot of this work and a lot of reclaiming themselves, and then just like kind of want it to culminate into a moment that is like a timestamp of what they have done, and almost like it's a it becomes an opportunity to like really embody a lot of the work that they've already been doing. I think that besides that, yeah, I do think it's just like it's such a range. And there's some people who I feel like are really shy for a long time. And um with that, like I don't really let my sessions take a specific amount of time because I just try to wait until it seems like they have unraveled and feel like they feel comfortable. And there's yeah, it really just I think it really just depends.
Yeah. Can you see the shift in people then when like when they've kind of gone from that? Because I would imagine there is just one small point where it's like, oh, I'm shy, I'm just not really sure, to kind of like, ooh, this is really freeing actually. And wow, like she's really honoring me and allowing me the space to, you know, explore this other side of myself.
Mhm. Yeah, it definitely it's a journey, and I often compare it to like a flower blooming. There's like this moment where you just can start to see like she's like coming out of her shell, and that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I am encouraging and like want to see. And every person, it's like a different thing is like kind of like what will make them kind of open up. And sometimes it's with music, or sometimes it's just like a specific outfit or a specific pose, or just like being able to see themselves on the back of the camera and be like, okay, all right, good, yeah, okay, I get it. um so there's lots of yeah, like I said, everyone is so different, but the theme is really just this like blossoming, and then like maintaining that through the full blossom. And then like you start to also notice like, okay, I'm getting tired, and it like starts to wilt, and I'm like, okay, let's call it, like that's a wrap.
So how long are the sessions about then for people?
I would say between like 2 and 4 hours is pretty usual.
Yeah.
And it depends on how far we have to walk and how many people are on the trail that we're having to dodge, or how many yeah, like there's a lot of factors. And then again, like how shy she is. um but there, yeah, I would say between 2 and 4 hours.
Okay. And so why nature as opposed to, because like I know there is some people that do boudoir pictures in an office or in a space. So what intrigued
Mhm.
you about doing this out in nature then?
I mean, I think that that was just where I was living, like I was just outside, and I would be like walking through the woods, and I'd be like, wow, that log right there, if there was just a naked woman draped across it, no notes, like it would just be perfect. And so it started with just that. And then I really think that when it comes to when it comes to unraveling these things, like I want the backup. Nature is the is my helper, or I'm nature's helper, I guess. Like I'm the little pixie nymph that uh just like lures the women into the woods so that the woods can work its magic. Um So I think that that's why I have done some inside. I like doing them inside as well. Um, but I think it's just a very different feel. I'm like, I just love being outside. And there's something that it really is a lot more like thrilling and exhilarating and freeing to do it outside. I think a lot of people have never been naked outside. And it's so primal. It feels like such like a remembering inside of my
Hmm.
body when I do that. And so it was really just creating this space for someone to access that.
Yeah. Well, and that would make sense because yeah, there is nothing like being out in nature, being able to just be free. And I have had that experience. So like way long time ago in my youth, but it is
Mhm.
freeing, right? And so did you like is this something that you were comfortable with in your own body before you started this photography, or was this kind of part of your journey as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, like I was living in the van and we were spending almost all of our time naked outside, like all of our time. And so, um, so I was really, really comfortable with it. And we would find these incredible places. Like, my ex was really big on it, places being like really, really quiet and really like able to hear the birds and the rivers and stuff. And so we would just seek out these really serene places, which often meant there were just not very many other people around. And so it was like this perfect sort of everything in my life fed everything in my life, like the way I would spend my free time would give me insight on where to take my work clients, and then my work clients would give me the financial stability to be able to go and have the free time, so it was just like a very yeah, I felt like um definitely at the beginning of all of this that I had this like really stable ecosystem.
Hmm. Yeah, that would make sense. And I think it's really neat because I love the concept of it, definitely to free. And so this is something I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but this is something that anybody can do, right? Doesn't depend on your body size. This is really just about shedding the shame or this, not cool feelings that we've had about ourselves as we've been growing up. And there's no age limit or anything like that with
Hmm.
this.
Yeah, definitely not. I'm in Australia right now because I came to photograph at a 50th birthday party, and I photographed, I think, 14 women who were all like 50 and above. Um, and there were lots of body shapes, and um, it, I think that the only the only thing that you need to have access to pleasure and to delight is a body and the ability to like feel into your surroundings, feel into a moment, feel into the wind and the sun, and feel the like pleasure that it is to exist and to have a body. Um, and so there's no certain size or shape or color or state of repair, whatever you want to call
So
it,
what is, sorry.
that prevents the opportunity to embody your body and feel, yeah, life.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense to
Sounds
me.
good. Sounds
What's
really
one
good.
Oh, what's one thing that you wish women knew more or would open their eyes to more that maybe you see through your lens that we don't see as just people walking around?
Hmm. I really think um that I'm way more focused on energy than on the way something looks. Uh, it was interesting. So like I said, I'm in Australia. I photographed like 14 women and also the whole event, and we did a big group photo as well. And then we had a reveal night like a month later, and we pulled all the photos on the screen. And there was a lot of insecurity. There were a lot of women. Some of the women were like, "Oh my goodness, I love my photos." Like, but a lot of them were actually like, "Oh, dang, you know, this really highlights the fact that when I laugh, I have a double chin, or this really highlights this thing that I don't like about myself." Um, and we really like sat there and like unpacked it collectively, which I think was really powerful. And like them all speaking to each other about what they saw versus, what like not like with the person who's in the photo, but all of the other women were like, "What are you talking about?" And it was really powerful that like what I see is like the energy. I see somebody who is laughing. I see someone who is surrendered. I see someone who is embracing. I see someone who is engaging. I see someone who is letting loose. I see someone who is there's like this like little bit of like authenticity, or there's something real about some of these photos that I'm I'm very I'm very trauma. I come from a very traumatic background, and one of the super skills of anyone who comes from a traumatic background is being able to read micro expressions and really like noticing like very subtle shifts of energy. And I will look for that really subtle shift of where she actually believed it for a moment. She actually believed that she was radiant. She actually let herself laugh. She actually let herself just exist for a moment without trying to hyper control how she looked. And in those moments of liberation, maybe your image management, whatever that looks like, you know, went off duty for a second, and you weren't perfectly thinking about if your chin was at the right angle. You weren't perfectly thinking about, exactly how everything was placed and if it was your good side and all of these things. Um, and like nobody fucking sees your chin that you think is weird. Nobody notices. The only the only thing that someone notices in your photo that is like quote wrong with you is what they think is wrong with them, first and foremost. if you if I am insecure about my belly, when I look at someone else's photos, what I will see is their belly, and I will be using their belly to make judgments on whether or not my belly is better or worse than theirs, and creating a hierarchy of value or degradation on myself. So, firstly, nobody sees your insecurity, they see their insecurities through your body. And secondly, most of the time, if you're totally in your image management thing, it's missing that real thing that people know you for, that people recognize and love you for. And that's the thing that I try to capture. That's the thing that I try to like get to come out and like come play with me, come play with your like real self. And so um I don't know. That wasn't a very well, like one sentence synopsis to your question. It was more of like a full ramble, and
No.
I can't even like pull it all together. But
It was
um,
great. I think it's great because I love how you actually said that about our insecurities or what we see in other people's pictures. And I think that gives people maybe a moment to pause and reflect about how do we now solve those insecurities with ourselves? Is there a way? Like, what would your recommendation be for, like I've seen people of all shapes, sizes, colors that are like struggling and for me I'll look at them and I'll think you're beautiful, like I don't understand why you're
Yeah.
saying that. So is there something we can do then as women that would help with that besides get naked?
Well, sometimes the getting naked doesn't help either, but because then it's just like a harsh like, okay, are you gonna face this, you know? Um, I think that in this exact juncture, this answer, I would have answered this differently even 6 months ago, 4 months ago. But I have been really trying to detach myself from my thoughts and my feelings and just think of them as clouds in the sky. And they're coming in, and sometimes they're dark and scary. And sometimes they're really bright and lovely and fluffy. And I love those ones. I love when I have those thoughts. But then
We
there's a
all.
big storm cloud. I'm like, ah. And I'm just trying to, like, in general, recognize, like, where did thoughts come from, dude? Like, where do these come from? They're they're like, oh my goodness, probably from Instagram. My God, that can't be where I want to get my thoughts from. Like, and so like when it comes to these insecurities or any negative thoughts that we have about ourselves, there's just like this opportunity to kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Like, thanks, thoughts. That's a nice one. And I really do. I've been starting to think of like one, detaching myself from my thoughts a lot and trying to dig into the deeper essence of what the fuck I am, what you are, what we all are. Um, because it is something far more precious and profound than I think we have a grasp on. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to locate that part of me and then allowing the like shifty clouds and but also thinking of it the same way that like we think of our algorithms. I don't know how much like algorithm training you've done for your social medias or whatever, but it's based on attention. And it doesn't really matter if you like a thing or don't like a thing. If you pause to scroll, if it like makes your pupils dilate, like the thing is like, okay, more of that. And and I think that our thoughts are really similar. It's like if you engage with it every single time and attach yourself to it and think, oh yeah, I am that thing and I should feel that way about myself and like, blah, it's gonna be like, okay, cool. That's what she wants to engage with. Thinking brain is like, very good. 10 more thoughts about that coming up very quickly. No worries. We'll start to see it everywhere. Everywhere you look, you'll start to feel this. And it's like, whoa. So like um this combination of detaching myself from the thoughts themselves and be like, okay, that's not me. That's just like this weather pattern. And then also training the thoughts that I want to have more of to like, okay, well, like, that was a really gnarly thought. We're gonna not engage with that. Let's think of something nicer. Let's think of something kinder. Let's think of something we're grateful for. Let's think of something, so it's like this like two-pronged approach to try to get my internal landscape somewhere that I can reside with a little bit of ease.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think I totally agree with you, and I know mom does too, is that when you're thinking these thoughts, we are putting that out exactly as you said to bring them back to us. So, when you wake up and you have a bad day, like sometimes like I try to say one nice thing to myself in the mirror if I'm having one of those days, like, geez,
Mhm.
today your eyebrows look really great today. Like whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
Because
Totally.
then you can start to focus on some of those things instead of, nitpicking ourselves. Because I think we're so hard on ourselves as humans that we just are just
Insane.
so unkind to ourselves. We would never say that to our best friend or right? Like,
Hmm.
couldn't say those things to people, and yet we do it to ourselves the worst.
Hmm.
It's so the
Absolutely.
truth. That's so true. We don't treat ourselves good enough most of the time. We try to, but sometimes we have to really, like Kim says, look in the mirror and just say, "Hi, it's a great day." You know?
Hmm.
Sorry, I don't know why my
And
picture's not in.
no, it's all good. The yeah, and just like, hey, I love that I get to do life with you. Like, when was the last time you like looked in the mirror, like looked yourself dead ass in the eyeballs? And, like, I love that I get to do life with you. Thank you
Me
so
too.
much for offering me this opportunity to feel so much, to experience so much. Like, this thing is not, this body is your spaceship. It's not you. And like, I don't know. I don't want to spend my entire time on this planet being so bent out of shape over the fact that my spaceship doesn't look like somebody else's spaceship, rather than just being stoked that I have a spaceship. What do you mean? This is so cool. And my spaceship is able to feel the breeze and able to be hugged by friends and able to eat delicious food and able to put my toes in the moss. Like, that is cool shit for the spaceship. Yes, give it up for the spaceship, you know? And instead of being like, ew, my spaceship is totally like holding on to way too much bullshit, or like, my spaceship is wrinkly, and my spaceship is too fat, and my spaceship, it doesn't have fluffy enough hair, my spaceship doesn't have, like all these things, like I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with
And
you. And I know mom does too. Like, one thing mom was when we were growing up was always about smiling, right? She was like, just smile because as soon as you smile, your body just reacts in a different way, right? And,
totally.
it's kind of in line with what you're saying, appreciating everything around you and all that we do have about us that is beautiful. And if we start focusing on those things, then you're not focusing on, well, you don't nitpick yourself to death.
Yeah. And even doing the work that I do, I am still guilty of nitpicking myself to death. But every time I start nitpicking myself to death, it's because of the fact that I'm not living. When I'm out here living for real, like hanging out with my friends, going dancing, like climbing trees, finding adventure, and meeting new people, like all those things, I don't have time to sit around and like lament the fact that when I was 12 years old, I thought it'd be cool to have a single track eyebrow and plucked all of my eyebrow hairs off, and like I have to draw them on just to have them because I did such damage. And I'm like, girl, you had perfect eyebrows and you went out here and you plucked them so hard. And and it's like I can really beat myself up over that, because it's like it's not even like a, like, for whatever reason I'll give myself permission to beat myself up over that one, because it's like, well, you did have good eyebrows, you just made bad choices and now you've ruined it for the rest of our life, and now we're sitting here with crayons trying to fucking look like a normal person. And it's like, if I start thinking about that, I haven't left the house enough.
I agree. Yeah,
I
yeah,
do too.
mom. Yeah.
I
Because
do too. I remember with the kids, like I always just say to them, no one's better than you. Don't ever think that someone's better than you, because they're not. And particularly when they get into high school and junior high, that's when us women, or I found anyways, with us women, we really have a problem with how we look, and we're always in competition with the other one, right? And so I know that when Kim would come home from school, sometimes she'd say, "Oh, some of my friends have some of these things," and I'd say, "So what? You look good just the way you are. You know, don't do that to yourself." And it matters when they are positive about how they think about
Yeah,
themselves. Yeah, you should teach this in
totally.
the schools.
Yeah,
Seriously.
totally.
Seriously.
I mean, woo, I feel like the oh, I lost my fairy earring. Hold on.
And it's
It's
so
cute
cute.
though.
Um, so you talked about me being a teacher. I had to become human again. So no, I'm just kidding.
Right?
Um, yeah, 1,000,000%. And like, what if, I don't know, I spent some time in Bali and I definitely have gotten way more on my spiritual train than I've been in a while. But just like, if we really are just trying to have as much of an experience as possible and like taste all that there is and like coming back through reincarnation or whatever it is that we're doing to like have this experience, it's like, you know, like maybe you were super quintessential hot last lifetime and this lifetime you wanted to give a go at like not being as like quintessential hot to see, because there's no best way to exist. The girls that I know that are like super quintessential hot are sometimes the most wrecked by the beauty standards because they're so close to them that they feel like if I just nitpicked hard enough, I could get there. Where some of the girls who are on the other side of the spectrum are like, girl, I ain't never gonna make it, so fuck those beauty standards. And there's like their own freedom in that. There's also the way that like the kind of attention that you get, the kind of you like the way that other aspects of your personality have to develop if people aren't like physically drawn to you, then you activate other aspects of your personality to be engaged with life. And like rather than being like, oh, hyper fixating on like one facet of like, I don't know if this is like a video game, there's like all the little points you could have, your like intelligence, your humor, your financial like stability because of your family, coming from a good family, coming from a poor family, coming from like having like being quintessentially hot, being a peculiar kind of hot, like being way more artistically inclined, or being like super whiz with numbers. Like there's so many ways that you can. I feel like we were given like, here's 100 points and you can distribute these 100 points throughout all of these options and choose which ones are your strengths and which ones are your weaknesses and use that to develop and enrich your experience. And like, what a fucking bummer if you, for the sake of argument, were in the beyond and we're like, this lifetime, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna be like a solid 6 out of 10. But I'm gonna be super funny and super smart. And instead of like remembering that or like rolling with that, you spend your entire existence like, why am I not a 10? Like, like what a bummer that would be. Rather than like, God, it doesn't fucking matter. It's just like have fun. It's such a short trip. Like, please,
Yeah.
whatever you got, rock it, roll with it, and make the most of it. And don't spend
Yes.
the whole time lamenting that you're not something you aren't, when what you are is so specific, unique, and the only time it will ever be configured like this again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I found for myself, like lately, I've been going through a little bit of a change, and I just find myself when I am really true to my soul of this is the way I want to dress, this is the way I want to wear my hair, this is what I want to do. I feel amazing. And I have
Yes.
an amazing day, right? Because all these great, like you said, all these great things about me come out because I'm like, I'm feeling good because I'm being true to me. Where on the days that I'm like, oh, I better, dress this way because this is appropriate,
Mhm.
then those days I don't feel in line with myself. So I think,
Mhm.
really listening to your soul about that is a good thing, and right? And then just honoring who you are through that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
And I would make the distinction of like, again, like where we get our like identity super caught up in any one thing. It's like, it's not that you're doing that. It's like, this is who, this outfit feels like me. This is, but this is what I like. I like these colors. I like these smells. I like my hair like this. I like this. And you move through the world based on what you like rather than what somebody told you you're supposed to do, what you think you're supposed to do, or what somebody else likes, or anything like that. It's like, I always do caution because I'll get caught up. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that doesn't look like me. Just like, what does that even mean? What are you saying? Like,
yeah.
um, but because clothes are so fun and the little costumes you can transform. Um, but yeah, just like it being based on like this makes me feel good. I feel good in this. I feel good when I spend time with these people. I feel good. And yeah, even changing it from like to I feel good. I feel good when my hair's like this. I feel good with these textures. I feel good with these colors. I feel good with these smells. I feel good with this company, this environment, these sheets. There's so many ways of like, does this feel good and like correct for myself in this moment? And then just honoring that all the time.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you got to go to Australia and that you like had a little trip over to Bali. And do you think that some of the things that you're learning through these travels that you're doing is shifting some of the ways that you're looking at life and how you're going to move forward with your art?
Oh, girl, yes, as travel always does. Always, yes. Without getting too into it, there's definitely um lots of things that are opening and options and like possibilities and um yeah, I think I'm I have my own wrestles. I'm wrestling internally with like, is what you're supposed to do? Is this what, and also like having to be honest about the layers of like when something feels good, that I was saying, because there's a superficial layer of that, but it also feels good to not like be stressed, and like, and sometimes the thing that makes you feel, quote, feel good for a moment is actually contributing to a much deeper layer of feeling bad. And so there is like this, like, I think that that's what I've been mm, picking through as I've been here, sifting through, is like, I'm really good at spontaneity. I'm really good at like, oh, okay, I'll go to Australia. Okay, I'll extend my trip. Okay, I'll go to Bali too. Okay, I'll do this. I can do this, um, and it does feel good in a moment, but it doesn't necessarily have like as lasting of a good feeling because of the ways that it causes a little bit more like underlying stress, and like that's actually feels really bad. And so trying to not have any sort of should language around how I how to navigate this time, but also trying to mature into this way of mm, I always like compare everything to food. So like for example, if you're lactose intolerant, ice cream feels really good in the mouth, but it doesn't feel really good all the way through the system. And so I'm just trying to like strengthen or like lengthen my awareness of a thing from like more than just the mouth experience of it, but all the way through the process of my body like processing it and having it and you know, but when superimposing that too. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, like life choices.
But it makes sense, right? And I think we get called to these different places to learn these different aspects about ourselves and to kind of break ourselves open even more to, just peel that onion layer just one more level to be able to say, oh, okay, now this is a new level. Okay, let's look at life a little bit differently with that. If you
Hmm.
had something to say to women that they could put like into their kind of kit to sort of live a more authentic and loving life, what would it be?
Hmm. 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 I think just like spending time trying to feel where your heart is and like what it's trying to say. Um, and differentiating the heart from the emotions, but like from that little like small, soft, true voice that is ever guiding and always, it doesn't, the heart is so tender and it like, I don't feel like it likes to shout. Like the brain will like shout and go on and on and on and on and on. But the heart, I feel like is just like, I don't like this. And that's it. And so like becoming more and more attentive to that little voice and then making choices that honor it, I think would be my advice.
Yeah, I love that. Mom?
Very nice. Yes, I did like it. Yeah.
Okay, we can't see you, so I have to ask you.
Oh,
That's
it's
good. You look
weird.
very crystally in this picture, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't know if your camera is just facing the other way. Also, the sun has come out and is giving me the most dramatic like look of all time. Like I'm
Great.
just
You
some
look great.
cheekbones.
It's
I think it's great. Well, and I love this
It's
conversation because
chiaroscuro.
it's so raw and it's true. It's a true conversation about how we feel and how we, move forward in life. So we love that
Yeah.
we're talking about this and talking about, even seeing you sort of like, thinking about these things and yeah, how did that really play on my thing? And you can see that you're sorting out those feelings for yourself as well. So, you know,
Yes. Not a script. Definitely not a script. Just out here in real time. Um, yeah, no, it's been an awesome conversation. I feel like we've covered a lot.
yeah. So what's next for you coming up here in the next year, say?
Oh my goodness. I surely don't know. I literally had a dream last night of that like perfectly represents how I feel right now. And I was in an airport and I was running late. So I knew that the time to get on my flight was coming up, but I couldn't remember what time it was for and where my destination was. So I couldn't like search my phone for, Melbourne so that it would like bring up my flight ticket. And I couldn't remember which airline I had booked with. And I was running around the airport and I was like running into Star Wars characters and I was helping a lady give birth. And I'm like in the airport for so long with like, and this is the most dazzling airport of all time. But I knew that I had a flight that I was needing to catch and it was coming up and I was really scared I was going to miss it. But I didn't know when it was and where I was going. And that really, I would say, would be the very honest reflection of how I feel right now. That there's a bunch of opportunities, there's a bunch of options, There's a bunch of desires and they're all loud and cacophonous in my mind, which is why I've been doing so much work to differentiate myself from my mind. So yeah. Girl, I surely don't know. I know that I want to put I want to put together an oracle deck of my photos. Um, and so that's some work that I'm going to do in the next year. Taking a lot of the photos I've already used and doing some writing alongside them. Um, but where I'm going to do that continues to be a question that like burns me up.
Well, you'll figure it out. I feel like, and I'm sure Mom would agree with this, you will be divinely guided to where you need to go and what you need to experience to get there. So I don't think you're going to miss your flight, is what I was gonna
No,
say.
no, I think I agree, Kim. I agree with you. I think you have so many options coming up this year. That's why you couldn't find what you're supposed to do at the airport and you couldn't find your flight is you're going to have options to pick from this year. So that's why you're sort of like, where am I going to go? I'll
Yeah.
just
Oh, I
find the right one to
know.
go. Yeah.
Oh, I know. But how does one choose? How does one
You you will
choose?
You'll
choose
pick
with
it as
your
you know
heart.
it.
I think everything you've said is really talking about, you will just choose and you love to help people. So I think that through that, you're just going to find your path. It's going to be laid out for you. And when you and the divine make your choices together, coming from your heart, you will make and see where
You'll
you're
find your
supposed
way.
to have your next step too. So,
Yeah, you'll find your way.
Yeah,
yeah,
I believe it. It is
yeah.
happening. I am finding my way. This is the problem with being a bit of a pathfinder, a bit of on the in the front, It's like I often lead my life without a trail. And it prevents me from, going places everyone else has been, but it can sometimes be a little little stressful.
Right?
Fun.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
It's fun. Yeah.
if people were looking for you to find out your work, where how they can
Oh
contact
yeah.
you, how can they do that?
Yes. I have a website which is wrenmorrow.com. That's WRENMORROW, like tomorrow. And then my Instagram is underscore Wren Morrow. So that's where you can find me. Yeah, I post some of my work. I post some of my thoughts. I post inconsistently, but I think it's beautiful when I do.
Well,
Um,
it's real, right? And it's who you are. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And, you feel like a very genuine and beautiful soul to me. Having this conversation's been beautifully. I love the way that it unraveled just so authentically. And I know
yes.
Mom is probably feeling the same way. I can't see your face, but
Yes, I am. It's actually funny that we're talking about this and I don't appear today because I thought when I was coming on today, I thought, oh, my hair's a little crazy. Look, no, what the hell?
That's so
So
funny. You're like,
it's funny. My picture didn't go. I was like, what the hell?
divine intervention.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
So
Well,
funny. All
it's
right. Thank you both so much for
yes.
having me.
Well, thank you for being on with us. And if you actually had a final thought to leave with all of our followers and us, what would it be?
Go outside and play. Go play outside. The sun is shining. The grass is soft. We need outside. We really, really do, and it's so easy to forget that. So yeah, go play outside.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's true.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. So,
You betcha. You betcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time. Oh, come on. I hope.
I like you're just like this like Oracle dream catcher thing.
right? Yeah.
Just a voice.
Yeah.
All right, bye. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Yeah. And everybody else, we'll see you next time.
But hopefully.